Africa and black freedom. That inspired him a lot too. So he knew about all those things. That would have fueled his ideas for a kind of Pan-African consciousness and the need to rally a wide range of people in pursuit of what he wanted.
In the United States of America, he came...
Good day and thank you for tuning in to the AAU TV Mid-Week news coming to you from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities. My name is Mamiukwa Utoakwanyame.
And I'm Jimaima Daladem Duchi.
And now in our top stories, new act set up loan systems for those who cannot afford higher education in Nigeria. And also quality childcare contributes to later success in education, study reveals.
In our discovery, the University of Cape Coast releases striker-resistant cowpea varieties. And in sport, Rana Kapyangi rewarded with $35,000 and a house for breaking 2 world records. Please stay with us for more news after this short break. We'll be right back.
During a presentation at the 3rd Annual Academic Summit of the Honours United Universities Group held in Cape Town, Dr. Danielle Becker, a visual studies lecturer at Red and Yellow Creative School of Business, issued a sobering warning on the growing concerns that artificial intelligence is amplifying existing inequalities and division in society, creating more polarization.
According to Danielle Becker, digital content is subject to existing power relations and ideologies in society. She says when content is used or created by AI applications, it can result in the same biases present in the data on which their algorithms were trained in the first place. This explains why techno-racism has become a prominent part of the discussion. In an article on the CNN website titled "People of Color Have a New Enemy," journalist Faith Karimi traces the origins of the term techno-racism to its use by a member of a civilian police commission in the United States city of Detroit in 2019 to describe glitchy facial recognition systems that confuse black faces. One of the many examples of this phenomenon that have been making headlines the past few years is the arrest of Robert Williams outside his suburban home in Detroit based on a bad facial recognition match. He spent 30 hours in jail before his name was cleared. In another article, Joy Bolomwini, a computer scientist with the MIT Media Lab and founder of the Agramedic Gestic League, speaks about a bias in AI that can lead to discriminatory or exclusionary practices. According to her, it is often assumed that machines are neutral, but they aren't, adding that her research uncovered large gender and racial bias in AI systems sold by tech giant. She cited popular faces like Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, and Serena Williams, whose faces were not correctly classified by AI systems from leading companies, adding that when technology denigrates even those iconic women, it is time to re-examine how these systems are built and who they truly serve.
Meanwhile, Nigerians who are aspiring to pursue higher education but have been unable to afford it will now have access to interest-free loans upon gaining admission. This comes after the student loan bill was signed into law following President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's assent. The new bill has been greeted with divergent views, with some stakeholders expressing concerns over the repayment plan of the loan.
Apart from some students who study on scholarships everyone pays tuition fees. The average tuition in many government-run universities in Nigeria costs about 100,000 naira per year and about 500,000 naira in privately run institutions. The Act now gives poor students equal access to higher education without any form of discrimination based on gender, religion, tribe, position, or disability. It stipulates that a Nigerian education bank will be created to disburse the loans to deserving students only for the payment of tuition fees. Dele Alake, a member of the presidential strategic team, said the signing of the bill was in fulfillment of the president's campaign promise to liberalize funding of education. Alake indicated that there are prescribed qualification parameters to access the loan, and that include the proof of financial need of whoever is to be a beneficiary. There are committees to be set up. The members of committees will be drawn from various bodies to superintend the efficient and proficient disbursement of this facility. The Students' Loan Initiative has attracted both praise and condemnation from different quarters. A public finance professor at the Alhamdu Bello University Zaria, Bashir Mohammed Jumari, described the loan as a laudable development, calling for collaboration among the stakeholders, which are schools, the envisaged education bank, and other relevant government agencies to ensure its implementation is effective. Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASSUU, has strongly faulted the loan, saying it's an attempt by the government to shy away from its responsibility to adequately fund tertiary education.
Well, there we have it from Nigeria, and kudos to the government for keeping their promise to higher education. Now, while this act or this bill has been met with a lot of commendations, there are others who have also criticized this move, and most of them actually had to do with the repayments plan, the duration it would have to take students to actually start paying their loans once they have completed. And it is no doubt that the issue of students are not being able to repay their loans after completion is a worldwide problem. Now, should you ask every student or any country or any government or institution, they will tell you the major issue has to do with unemployment. Now, today I would want us to actually delve deep and go beyond unemployment to also explore other reasons why students could possibly not be able to pay their student loans after completion.
Okay, I kind of will not agree less with what you have said, but trying to explore other difficulties that students face in such. I'll talk about financial difficulties.
Okay.
Sometimes if a student should gain employment, sometimes the salary is not even enough. And looking at our system now, there is a high, we have the high cost demands on stuff and all that. So in other words, it affects the students' salary or their income and all that. So in other words, it becomes very difficult for students to pay out the loan when they are done with school and they would want to. So first of all, that is financial difficulty, and then I'll talk about economic instability. Well, in a country where the economy is not really stable like that, it becomes very difficult to even get a good job or even land yourself, a good job.
Exactly.
Yes. So in other words, let me put it this way. So you are unable to get a good job because there is financial instability in the country. And sometimes even if you get a job, there is actually a low income because the economy is affecting your job. So when the student is ready to pay out such loans, they are not able to, because where is the money? The money is all taken away due to the economic hardship and all that. I also talk about delay career progression.
Okay.
After school, sometimes the students would want to actually focus on or get a job in line with what they went to study, because they believe that, of course, that would give them a lot of money. But looking at the economy, sometimes you don't actually get the work you have gone to study for. You now have to look at other ways of making money, where now you have to settle for less paying jobs. And it doesn't give you a lot, yes, because what you have actually learned to execute in the labor market, you don't have the opportunity to do that. So you end up getting low income, and then when you are ready to pay off these loans, it becomes very difficult. Lastly, I'll talk about lack of financial illiteracy. I feel there is, students or these students who go for these loans do not know the terms and conditions that these loans come with. When I talk about terms and conditions, I'm talking about the interest rate, the penalties that come in, and even the payment schedule. It becomes very difficult for them to align with it later when they find out these plans, and it becomes very difficult to pay out these loans at the end of the
while you're making your submission, I couldn't help but shake off this thought from my head. Updated database in various countries. Is it that countries do not have the updated database that aids them in tracking students after they complete? This person got a job into this institution, that institution. I don't know, that could possibly be a reason. But I'm not trying to catch you, but talking to a student recently, I was trying to find out what it is about this whole payment plan issue. But talking to him, I realized that there's actually no structure to it. Yes, because you take the money, there's actually the highest amount that these loans have for students, but according to him, they have not got any student who has got that high amount of money, because the amount, the way you fill the form is determined by the amount you get. And even after you get the money, you are given 10 years to pay. Looking at the smallest amount that you get, you still have 10 years, and there's actually no way to track you. There is no you don't have anyone to come and sign for you. There's no guarantor. You just have to get your Ghana card, and then there's one very important thing that I want us to talk about, because really initiatives are of no use to us if there are no plans to sustain it. Nigeria has done very well by bringing this bill up, but how is it going to be sustained? First of all, I'll talk about transparent loan disbursement and selection process. I feel there should be, as you said, there should be a well-structured process in getting these loans and even getting it back to be able to sustain it. And I also talk about government's commitment to funding universities. In as much as we have loans that are helping to fund students, government should also do well to also fund the universities. I think that should help. Indeed, government should put in a lot of effort to fund the universities, and students should also make sure they are able to settle their loans once they complete. Now, health news is up next. In our health news, research published by American Psychological Association has revealed that children who receive high quality childcare as babies, toddlers, preschoolers do better in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics through high school. And the publication established a stronger link among children from low-income backgrounds compared with children from high-income backgrounds.
Study author Andre S. Bustamante has said that results from the study suggest that caregiving quality in early childhood can build a strong foundation for a trajectory of STEM success, adding that investing in quality childcare and early childhood education could help remedy the underrepresentation of racially and ethnically diverse populations in STEM fields. Many studies have demonstrated that higher quality caregiving in early childhood is associated with better school readiness for young children from low-income families. But not as many have looked at how the effects of early childcare extend into high school, and even fewer have focused specially on STEM subjects, according to Bustamante. To investigate those questions, Bustamante and his colleagues examined data from 979 families who participated in the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development study of early child care and youth development from the time of the child's birth in 1991 until 2006. As part of the study, trained observers visited the daycares and preschools of all the children who were enrolled for 10 or more hours per week. The observers visited when the children were 6, 15, 24, 36, and 54 months old and rated 2 aspects of the child care: the extent to which the caregivers provided a warm and supportive environment and responded to children's interests and emotions, and the amount of cognitive stimulation they provided through using rich language, asking questions to probe the children's thinking, and providing feedback to deepen the children's understanding of concepts. The researchers then looked at how the students performed in STEM subjects in elementary and high school. To measure STEM success, they examined the students' scores on the math and reasoning portions of a standardized test in grades 3 to 5. Overall, they found that both aspects of caregiving quality predicted greater STEM achievements in late elementary school, which in turn predicted greater STEM achievements in high school at age 15.
Stick with us for Discovery News after the short break.
The Association of African Universities, AAU, presents to you the 22nd Conference of Rectors, Vice Chancellors and Presidents of African Universities, Corevib 2023. The conference holds at Vinhor Country Club and Resorts from the 4th to 7th July 2023 and is co-hosted by the University of Namibia. Among the keynote speakers are Honorable Ita Kanji Morangi, Minister of Higher Education, Training and Innovation, Republic of Namibia. His Excellency Commissioner Professor Mohamed Belosi, Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology and Innovation of the African Union Commission. Professor Ishak Ulanrewanju Oloyede, Registrar, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board of Nigeria. Honorable Jamie Pershek, Minister of Education of Argentina. Sheikh Mansour bin Mo Salam, Secretary General, Organization of Educational Cooperation. Professor Jose Serso Ferre Jr., Associate Provost for International Affairs, Universidad Estadual Paulista, Brazil. And Professor Felix Dapare Dakura, President, African Academy of Sciences. The conference will, among others, serve as a platform to launch the following: the Novel AAU $1 campaign for the promotion of higher education in Africa, the Charter on Equitable Partnership for Promoting Excellence in African Higher Education, and the China-Africa Universities Exchange Consortium. Other speaking engagements include presentations from the AAU on the World Bank's Africa Centers of Excellence for Development Impact Project, Obrel Global on the Harmonization of African Quality Assurance and Accreditation (HACA) initiatives, Education Sub-Saharan Africa (ESA) on the Demographics of African Faculty, European Commission on Youth Mobility for Africa, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers (ICANN) on Universal Acceptance of Internet Domains, Bloomberg on Bloomberg Media Initiative Africa, QS on World University Rankings, the IDRC on Trends of Women Participation and Success in Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics in African Universities, the Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program, Taylor and Francis, Ubuntu Net Alliance for Research and Education Networking, Science for Africa Foundation, EI Consulting LLC, and many more. For more information, contact Ransford at aau.org and ndakun at aau.org.
In our Discovery News, a team of researchers from the University of Cape Coast has developed and released 7 striga resistance variety of cowpea, the first of its kind in Ghana, and this was initiated following the team's bid to solve major challenges faced by cowpea farmers in some parts of the country.
In most rural communities in the African continent, farmers and low-income families are unable to afford the prices of protein such as fish. Therefore, they rely mainly on cowpea, a cheaper source of protein. Unfortunately, the production of cowpea is associated with challenges that result in yield loss. The professor from the University of Cape Coast saw the need to research parasites that affect the production of cowpea in Ghana, especially in the northern region. As a result, 7 striga-resistant varieties of cowpeas have been released. The released varieties pose significant benefits compared to the already existing varieties on the market, such as high yield.
In the University of Cape Coast, this is the first time that we have developed varieties of cowpea that has been released officially, authenticated and registered. The unique thing is about the striga resistance We also have drought tolerance and disease tolerance, early maturity, very early maturity, and then also high yielding. So these traits altogether made the selection process very effective, and then also recommendations were very high for the release of the varieties.
Inmates at the Ankafo prisons in the central region have been an integral part in cultivating the new varieties. They are taught how to cultivate cowpea and control diseases and pests.
I've witnessed how, if I should put it, the local farmers cultivate cowpea, and I was able to differentiate between that one and the one the UCC people brought. Usually, the local farmers will plant any variety, and then they plant haphazardly. They don't plant in lines and what have you. And then even the spacing is always wrong, being an agric man.
We'll be back with news on sport and entertainment. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Sports and Entertainment segment. And in sports, Kenyan President William Ruto has rewarded Faith Kipyegon, a distance runner, with an amount of $35,000 and a round-breaking two-road record in the space of a week. 20-year-old Kipyegon, a two-time Olympic champion in the 1,500 meters and a new world record she's broken in Kenya.
Distance runner Faith Kipyegon has been given $35,000 and a house by Kenyan President William Ruto on Tuesday, June 13th, as a reward for breaking two world records in the space of a week. The 29-year-old Kipyegon, a two-time Olympic champion in the 1,500 meters, set a new 1,500 world record in Florence, Italy on June 2nd, when she broke the 8-year-old mark set by Genzibe Dibaba of Ethiopia. Kipyegon became the first woman to go under 3 minutes 50 seconds with her 3 minutes 49 seconds and 11 milliseconds. She broke the 5,000 meters record last Friday at the Paris Diamond League, met by clocking 14 minutes 5 seconds and 20 milliseconds, winning that race ahead of the former world record holder Letesenbet Gidi of Ethiopia. Ruto said Faith has made Kenya incredibly proud and that she stands as a shining model for consistency, discipline, hard work, as well as family. Faith is a great Kenyan woman, a mother, a wife, and a world champion rolled into one. Ruto pledged that the Kenyan government will also give similar reward to future world record breakers.
In our entertainment story, next year's Grammy will feature 3 new categories, including Best African Music Performance, Best Alternative Jazz Album, and Best Pop Dance Recording, as the awards move to reflect the massive popularity of Afrobeat around the world. The other categories recognize recordings that utilize unique local expressions from Africa to the African continent, please.
The Recording Academy of the United States will officially recognize and award the biggest and best in the world of African music. Last year, the Grammys announced that they were considering adding an Afrobeat award to their historical list of acknowledgements, and 9 months later, the Best African Music Performance Award was born. The famed Music Awards show announced the inclusion of the new African Focus category, as well as the inclusion of the newly introduced Best Alternative Jazz Album and Best Pop Dance Recording. On the new lane that the company is paving for itself, CEO Harvey Mason Jr. said the Recording Academy is proud to announce these latest category changes to our award process. These changes reflect our commitment to actively listen and respond to the feedback from our music community, accurately represent a diverse range of relevant musical genres, and stay aligned with the ever-evolving musical landscape. African music has evolved beautifully over the past few years, with international stakeholders paying more attention to creativity coming out of the continent. The move looks to further celebrate the world's biggest stars and help keep the Academy relevant.
According to the Grammys website, the African Music Award will manifest as a track and singles category that recognizes recordings that utilize unique local expressions from across the African continent. Highlighting regional melodic, harmonic and rhythmic musical traditions, the category includes but is not limited to Afrobeat, Afrofusion, Afropop, Afrobeat, alt, amapiano, bongo flavor, jenge, kizomba, shimuringa, highlife, fuji, kwasa, ndombolo, mapuka, Ghanaian drill, Afro house, South African hip-hop and Ethio jazz genres. At first glance, the Academy is attempting to include every corner of the continent, casting a relevant wide net in an attempt to encompass a continent abundant in rhythmic flavor and heterogeneity.
That is all for sports and entertainment. My name is Ajiman Ochrodako. Business News is next.
Job in higher education institution on the African continent? There is no need to go looking. The Africa Education Jobs Board will deliver available jobs to you via our platform. To start your search, visit our website. On our website, you will find variety of job postings classified by the sectors and professions they belong to. There are sections devoted to variety of career-related materials, as well as information on African countries. All information you require, based on the job description and requirements, are accessible on the site. If you are looking for a job in higher education on the continent, use our dedicated portal, www.africa.edujobs.com. For job market updates, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AF Jobs Board.
In our business news, nearly a month after the start of the 3 billion loan support program with the International Monetary Fund (IMF), the economy of Ghana is beginning to show signs of stabilization. This was the initial conclusion reached by the Stephanie Rudite-led IMF mission team as they observed Ghana's ongoing extended credit facility program with the fund for a week.
Nearly a month after the start of the $3 billion loan support program with the International Monetary Fund (IMF), the economy of Ghana is beginning to show signs of stabilization. This was the initial conclusion reached by the Stefan Rudi-led IMF mission team as they observed Ghana's ongoing Extended Credit Facility (EFC) program with the fund for a week. As part of its routine interaction with the Ghanaian government and other stakeholders, the IMF staff team, headed by Mr. Rudi, visited Ghana from June 8th to 15th. Meetings were held with President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Bawumia, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison, and the fund's mission team. The IMF loan support program was approved in May, and Ghana's inflation, which was 53.6% at the start of 2023, eased to 41.2% in April. However, when the Statistical Service released the most recent inflation data, it saw a slight increase to 42.2%. Regarding foreign exchange reserves, the Bank of Ghana reported that Ghana's reserve increased from $5.1 billion to $5.7 billion as a result of the IMF's first tranche of $600 million, strengthening the country's balance of payments position. In an effort to hasten the nation's recovery from an economic crisis brought on by the pandemic, the Russian-Ukraine war, and internal structural issues, Ghana's post-COVID-19 Program for Economic Growth (PCPEG) program will offer balance of payment support over the course of its 3 years. Additionally, it is intended to reduce pressure caused by fluctuating exchange rates and a weakening currency, foster the development of inclusive and sustainable growth and job creation, and act as a catalyst for the development of new financial resources.
We'll be back with international news after this break. Stay tuned.
On international front, Moscow declined United Nations offer to help residents affected by the flooding from the breached Kakhovka Dam, as a death toll rose and filthy water has forced the closing of beaches in southern Ukraine. The collapse of the Moscow-controlled dam on June 3rd unleashed floodwaters across southern Ukraine and Russia-occupied parts of the Kherson region, destroying homes and farmland and cutting off supplies to residents.
Moscow declined United Nations offer to help residents affected by the flooding from the breached Kakhovka Dam, the world body said on Sunday, as the death toll rose and filthy water has forced the closing of beaches in southern Ukraine. The collapse of the Moscow-controlled dam on 6th June unleashed floodwaters across southern Ukraine and Russia-occupied parts of the Kherson region, destroying homes and farmlands and cutting off supplies to residents. The death toll has risen to 52, with Russian officials saying 35 people have died in Moscow-controlled areas and Ukraine's Interior Ministry saying 17 had died and 31 were missing. More than 11,000 have been evacuated on both sides. The UN urged Russia to act in accordance with its obligations under international humanitarian law. A team of international legal experts assisting Ukraine's prosecutors in their investigation said it was likely the dam's collapse was caused by explosives planted by Russians. Authorities in Odessa closed the once popular Black Sea beaches there, prohibiting swimming and the consumption of fish and seafood from unidentified sources. The beaches of Odessa have been declared as unsuitable for swimming due to the significant deterioration of the water and real danger to health, Odessa's administration said. Although floodwaters have receded, the Dnipro River on which the Kakhovka Dam was built has carried tons of debris into the Black Sea and Odessa's coastline, causing what Ukraine called an ecocide. Levels of toxic substances in sea organisms and on the seabed are expected to worsen, augmenting the risk from landmines that are washing up on the shoreline.
Thank you for staying with us on the AAU TV Midweek News. Let's take a quick recap of our headlines.
Now in higher education, new art setup loan system for those who cannot afford higher education in Nigeria. And quality childcare contributes to later success in education, study reveals.
In discovery, the University of Cape Coast releases trigger-resistant cowpea varieties. And in sports, Rana Kipyengen rewarded with $35,000 and housed for breaking 2 world records.
Now, thank you for sticking with us on the AAU TV Mid-Week News. Get interactive with us on our dedicated news hub on our website. My name is Mamikwa Utakwanyame.
And I'm Jimaima Daladen Uche.